this weekend is Renato Moicano versus Chris Duncan, and it is one of the fight cards of all time. It's one of them. There are fights on the card.
It's a good description.
Yes, it is an MMA event. That is what it is. Okay, in all seriousness, there's some halfway interesting,
kind
kind of fights on here. Should this be a main event? Probably not. This should be like a co-main, Moicano versus Chris Duncan, or like maybe just one of the fights on the main card. But probably it could be a co-main. It feels a little bit underwhelming as far as the contender aspect of it goes. Like it feels like we're not making any progress toward, like it seems like usually on fight night cards, at least whoever's at the top of the ticket should be like one or two wins away from a title shot. Is that fair to say?
Manel Kopp and Brennan Royval. It's a good example.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Or last week, Adesanya versus Joe Pyfer. I mean, yeah, a little bit of it is like Joe Pyfer's, or is Adesanya's stock kind of carried that card, but I mean, he was also ranked like what 4 or 5 in the division. Like if Joe Pyfer gets 1 or 2 more wins, he's getting a title shot. Mm-hmm. The week before that, obviously Movsar Evloev versus Lauren Murphy was basically a title eliminator, right? Josh Emmett versus Kevin Vallejos. That one was a little bit more of like but Kevin Vallejos is like, people see him as kind of a
dark
future, yeah, like a prospect, right? Brandon Moreno versus Lonier Kavanaugh. Like Brandon Moreno is ranked number 6. If Loney Kavanaugh gets 1 or 2 more wins, he's getting a title shot. If he gets 1 more win, he's probably getting a title shot. With how flyweight currently is. Sean Strickland versus Anthony Hernandez. Need I say more? Sean Strickland literally got the title shot after that win. Yeah. So long story short, they're kind of punting on this one.
Let's put it this way. If you slapped LFA on the title of this card, people would not tell a difference between that and the UFC. Like you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, I would think it'd be an LFA card, Yeah. And I've never watched it, but I'm just assuming that it's low level,
Yeah. Well, let's just get into it. Enough complaining. At the end of the day, at least this main event could be pretty decent. Chris Duncan, it's kind of funny. He's so inexperienced in the UFC right now. I think he only has one. Does he have only one fight? No, wait. He has more than that. What the heck?
He's like.
For reason I thought. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. He wasn't he a Contender Series guy? Was he the one who had that crazy fight with that had that insane comeback?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, and then he has he submitted Terrence McKinney. He submitted that one dude that's tatted up from the UK, Vucenic. Mm-hmm. Yeah, then I think he has like one more submission. He has like, it's like 2 guillotines and a Darce.
Yes.
I think he has like 4 wins.
Against Balaji Oki. Yeah, he is subbed.
Yeah.
And he got subbed by Manuel Torres. But dude, Manuel Torres is just built different.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's just, I don't know, some. Yeah, okay, let's just get into the main event here. I can share my thoughts. I'll try to be brief, but I watched Chris Duncan's fight against Terrence McKinney. We know how Terrence McKinney fights. He's just really chaotic, really aggressive. And I would say Chris Duncan did a pretty good job of staying composed. Obviously he had McKinney hurt. Like obviously it was a submission win, but it came off of like this really tight elbow that he landed in the clinch that dropped McKinney, and then he ended up going for the sub. Moicano though I rewatched his fight with Benoit Saint-Denis, which obviously, yeah, it was a couple years ago. Maybe he's gone a little downhill, but I think if anything, like the last thing to leave is the skill level, right? Like your understanding of the game. Your body will start to break down, right? That will start to age, but your experience, your technique, that's usually like is going to stay with you. So I trust that Moicano still has the technique and the skill and the experience as he goes into this fight, as he did when he fought BSD. But I think one of the biggest things that I thought Moicano did well against BSD is sometimes there is a balance I feel like you need to have between being chaotic and being high pressure and taking chances, but also remaining composed and sticking to your game plan, right? Some people stick to the game plan a little too much, and it's like, dude, you just need to take some chances and try and beat this guy and just and put yourself out there.
Hamza Chimaev and DDP.
Right. Or I would even say like any of Cheeto Vera's fights in the last like 5 years. It's like, dude, we get it. Like you came into this fight with a game plan, but at a certain point, it kind of is do or die. Like you just kind of need to send it in and try and, let your hands go, I feel like Moicano, he jumps on opportunities when they're there that he needs to like he will take opportunities to advance in the fight, but also he stays composed. Like he doesn't completely lose sight of the game plan like Adesanya did against Joe Pyfer, for example, where it's like, dude, like you were winning that fight. It was very winnable and you just kind of, you got excited in the moment and you paid for it. You know what I mean? He also, like one of the best examples that I can think of is obviously his path to victory in a lot of his fights is taking it to the ground. Like with BSD, he prioritized controlling the position and advancing and passing BSD's guard and just staying like heavy. Like BSD had these basically like a butterfly. He's in a butterfly guard, right? Where he's trying to elevate him enough to be able to like either kick him away or sweep him, right? One of the two. But the point is that he had to use the butterfly hooks to be able to create space. And Moicano did such a good job of just kind of like riding the guard a little bit. You know what I'm talking about? Where his hips just kind of stay heavy and just kind of floats. Like he was doing that, but he wasn't just hanging out there. Like he was also looking to pass his guard, and he did, right? He prioritizes a position generally over hunting for a sub, right? So this is what I mean where he stays composed. Yes, he advances, but he also doesn't lose sight of just the steady progress toward a finish, right? Any point that BSD started to escape when he was landing on that ground and pound, he would stop what he was doing to reestablish control. Once he got to a more dominant controlling position, then he would let his hands go and throw the ground and pound. But he wouldn't just establish control and not try and finish the fight like we've seen some people do, right? Like guys like Merab or in his last fight, Hamza Chimaev, right? Where at a certain point, you got to let your hands go and just kind of make it ugly. And Moicano is not afraid of doing that too. So I would say, what does all that mean? Well, it's hard for me to know exactly how Chris Duncan is going to fight here because, honestly, from what I've seen, a lot of his fights are super chaotic, at least the ones that I've seen anyways. And it's just kind of hard to make any kind of sound prediction based on that. But it's always safer. Like I would say Moicano's style is something that is tried and true, right? Like he's fairly well-rounded. Obviously, I think his ground game is excellent. But he is, I don't think that any of the wins he's had, like the win he had over BSD wasn't a fluke. Like he just outplayed him, right? We know that Moicano has the ability to just be very technical and finish the fight that way. So I would just say he's very reliable, I guess, in that sense. I don't know. What do you have to say about this one?
Yeah, well, my first question obviously is, how is Moicano an underdog in this fight? Like Chris Duncan is good, really chaotic, gets a lot of finishes, really durable. But I'm just like, dude, you've had 3 fights in the UFC, and Moicano is kind of a ranked fighter that kind of gets crapped on a lot. Like I feel like people don't respect him in a sense. He's fairly consistent. I think people don't give his hands enough credit. Like, he doesn't have knockout power. Yeah, I mean, he knocked down, Beneil Dariush, but as you all know, Beneil Dariush is a little chinny, so it's not an accomplishment. But even when he's not knocking dudes down, I think he wins rounds a good amount. Even Jalen Turner, right? He got knocked down, but he still managed to, partially for Jalen's fault, but he survived, came back, stick to his game plan, got the takedown, got the TKO finish. Yeah. I think people, they don't really respect him that much. I don't know how he's an underdog. I heard that when the odds came out for this fight, maybe a week back or 2 weeks ago, he was a -220. and up to
Wow.
now, he's a plus 140. So people are really high on Chris Duncan, and like, believe me, I think anything can happen. And especially like knowing Chris Duncan, there's going to be some crazy moments in this fight. Like Moicano has a very high probability of getting dropped in this fight. Very high probability. But the thing is though, is that he knows that. Like he's probably game planned pretty well. More often than not, it's better to side with the more experienced fighter. When we were talking about Yusri Bulgari versus Malik, I don't remember his first name, but anyways, Mansour Abdul
Mansour
Malik.
Abdul Malik.
Yeah. I sided with Malik, and you told me, you were like, well, in these situations with the glory kickboxing background of Yusri and the fact that Malik is like 9-0 and Bulgari is like 7-0, but he has like 40 pro kickboxing fights. I side with Malik, you side with Yusri, and obviously Yusri stayed composed, looked really comfortable, and got the TKO win. And learning from that, I'm like, in this situation, a lot of bettors are high on, Chris Duncan probably getting a finish early in this fight, but I'm like, Moicano has showed that he can take punishment, survive, and come back and win. And like anything can happen, but I think I'm going to say Moicano sub or decision. I think that's a good play. Also, the fact that he's an underdog too, and he's like the better fighter. I mean, he is way more experienced. He's more technical. Like, there's a dart. You can throw a dart on Chris Duncan finish, but I think more often than not, I think I'm taking Moicano sub decision in this fight.
Yeah. Okay. So, Moicano fought for the belt a year ago. Okay, like he's not that washed. Yeah, he just lost to Beneil Dariush, but
close fight too.
Like, yeah, close fight. But also, okay, so this was a topic that we had written down here, but I think stats, people, whenever they're talking about predictions, they love to bring up statistics. Like this guy's knockout rate, this guy's takedown rate, this guy's takedown defense. How many times has he won as an underdog? How many times has he won as a favorite? All this kind of stuff. Stats are so misleading. Like I would never make predictions based on statistics because there is some, like, stats never get the full picture of the fight. And this is actually true for any game in general. It's not just fighting that this applies to, but literally any game. Like, it's all about matchups. Matchups is everything, right? I was reading about that in the book on football that I've been reading. He was like, matchups is literally the key to understanding how football works. Like, where are your strengths? Where are your weaknesses? And how do they line up with your opponent's strengths, their weaknesses, their formation, your formation? That's all what it's about, okay? You're going to dog on me for this. Clash Royale. Like, you play Clash Royale, whatever deck you run, like, your opponent's deck is how your deck matches up against your opponent's deck is the most important thing. It has nothing to do with your win rate. Your win rate as an overall thing, you could have an excellent win rate against certain matchups and a horrible win rate against others. What does all this mean is that stats, you can't just go on stats. You can't be like, well, 50% of the time, the veteran beats the new up-and-coming prospect. So it's a coin toss who wins this fight. It's like, okay, well, let's go back to Kevin Vallejos versus Josh Emmett, right? Kind of similar story. Josh Emmett's like older. Kevin Vallejos is this young, aggressive guy, right? What would the matchups tell us about how that fight would go? Well, Josh Emmett is a brawler, right? He's kind of a one-trick pony in a lot of ways. He just kind of has like a lot of power and throws his right hand. That's kind of it. Kevin Vallejos actually has quite good boxing. Like, his stand-up is really tight. And we've seen what that matchup looks like because Ilia Topuria fought Josh Emmett not that long ago, like a couple years ago, right? So in that circumstance, it makes a lot of sense that a guy like Kevin Vallejos would beat Josh Emmett. Like, that just adds up, right? What's an example of a matchup that didn't go so well? Oh, like Bobby Green versus Daniel Zellhuber, right? Bobby Green, yeah, he's an older veteran, but he's awkward, he's unorthodox, and he actually has some decent power, right? And who's the guy that Daniel Zellhuber lost to? Michael Johnson, right? Michael Johnson's fast. Or wait, am I getting it backwards? No,
you're right.
Bobby Green, yeah. Michael Johnson, right? He's fast and actually has some decently heavy hands, and he beat Daniel Zellhuber, right? So I don't know. This is a circumstance where I'm like, Moicano has a very technical style. Yeah, he lost to Beneil Dariush, but again, let's go back to the matchups here. Beneil Dariush is actually pretty technical, right? On the ground, really, really good. Like super underrated at lightweight. And Moicano, his best path to victory is on the ground, right? Beneil Dariush wins, but what is Beneil Dariush's weaknesses? Beneil Dariush's weakness is when he fights guys with super heavy hands who are just aggressive power punchers. Moicano hasn't struggled with that as much as Beneil Dariush has. So it kind of makes sense that Moicano beat Benoit Saint-Denis. Beneil Dariush got knocked out by Benoit Saint-Denis, even though Moicano lost Beneil Dariush, right? It's kind of like how the MMA math thing never checks out. Why is that the case? It's because matchups are everything. That's why MMA math doesn't work. It's because matchups matter a lot more than he beat him and he beat him, so he beats him. Like, it doesn't work that way for that reason. So I feel like going into this fight, Chris Duncan, really aggressive, good submission game, but Moicano has way more experience. He has an excellent ground game, and he stays pretty composed on the feet. Yeah, sometimes his head movement can be questionable, but like whatever. He's generally stays composed. He puts on steady pressure. Like, this is a very winnable fight for Moicano, and yeah. So that's all I have to say about that.
And I feel like anytime somebody gives a pick on a fight, you're not saying like they're going to win. You're saying more often than not, like, I'm picking this person to win more than 5 times out of 10. Like, that's every time you make a pick, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And so like, yeah, if Chris Duncan, knocks Moicano down and submits him in the first round, it's like, like,
it's always possible.
That's always a possibility. And that was maybe like in the 4 out of 10, but it's like, I think more often than not, Moicano gets it done,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably good for the main event.
Yeah, sounds
now,
good.
The rest of these fights, you're kind of like, all right, we'll just kind of, I won't say half-ass it, but like, I don't really care about them. But Tabitha Ricci versus Verna Jandiroba. So I think this fight is actually pretty easy to predict. Like, I think Verna Jandiroba is probably maybe not as good as Yan Xiaonan, but actually, I think she beat her. I don't even know, but I don't know any of the matchups in flyweight women's MMA, but I think Verna will get takedowns. I think she'll get strawweight, whatever. I think she'll get takedowns. I think she'll probably get a decision. Like, Tabitha Ricci is one of those people where I heard this from somebody, but he was like, dude, she has won so many split decisions. Like, and that were like, kind of like, she's like one of the luckiest fighters in the UFC.
Tabitha Ricci.
Yeah, 100%. I think she's won like 3 split decisions in the last like 5 years. It's something crazy like that, or I don't even know. But, and like, I was watching this guy, Tony Has Died, and he was saying like, yeah, like, I think like the judges are just like looking at her butt the whole time. And then when the fight's over, there's like, oh shoot, just give it a Tabitha Ricci. It's like, like that's whatever. But I was like, that's kind of true. But I think Jandiroba's a better fighter. I think she'll get to the ground, and I don't know if Tabitha Ricci will get subs, so I think it'll be probably a pretty easy Jandiroba decision.
Yeah, Tabitha Ricci, I guess her hands are decent. I don't know. Verna Jandiroba's got good takedowns, though, and it's such a reliable path to victory if we're talking about matchups. Like, Verna Jandiroba has proven that she's got really good ground game. She took down Mackenzie Dern a bunch of times in their fight. And from what I've seen, like, she has that advantage over Tabitha Ricci, so I don't know. Seems like she kind of has the clear path to victory here. I agree.
It's like the classic, like, we spend like 15 minutes talking about Moicano and Duncan, 1 minute into Ricci versus Jandiroba. That's probably good.
It's the bathroom break, bruh.
Yeah.
Let's be real here.
Like, dude, I was more locked in for Grasso Barber than I am for this fight. Like, it's not like all women's fights are just like, I don't care. But like, this is in that category of like, we know it's going to be a decision. I just don't care,
Yeah.
But I don't know if you really know about this matchup. But the Yakhyaev guy versus Brenton Ribeiro. This is all you need to know. Yakhyaev is a minus 1,700 favorite. Okay.
What on earth?
That's like more than Bo Nickel. He has had basically like a first round finish, and like every fight, we've seen this before. A guy who's crazy, first round finishes, like Bo Nickel, going up against a guy who has been knocked out a frick ton.
I think I remember this fight against Cerquera last fight.
He head kicked him and then
Yeah.
submitted him in the first 30 seconds.
Yes, that was crazy.
So he's really good, really good. And like with these kind of fighters that are this much of a favorite, they're going to lose. Like it's very rare that a fighter stays undefeated through a championship.
Yeah.
Very rare. And so it's like when it comes to these, I don't really bet on fights like these. It's like, yeah, you can try to just say like, just put a little bit on like this guy to have an insanely specific like round 1 submission or whatever. But just like, dude, keep your money, hold on to it, wait for this guy to fight Bo Nickel. And then bet on Bo Nickel. You know what I mean? Like I always wait and then hedge your bets. You know, just wait till you fight somebody who's good. Because Brentson Ribeiro is not good. He's going to get finished in the first round. Like my pick for this fight will be Yakhyaev round 1 easily. You know, but it's not even a good pick because it's like a minus 300. So it's just like we can move on, but it's just like that's kind of all the analysis I'd give for that fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take your word on that.
Yeah. This fight I'm actually really interested in. So Ethan Ewing versus Rafael Estevam.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know who Rafael Estevam is. He's actually one of the few undefeated prospects at a flyweight. He was like
bantamweight.
No, flyweight.
Oh, flyweight.
He's moving up to bantamweight. This is his move up fight.
I see. Okay.
He missed weight like twice and then he just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And we all know Ethan Ewing from his Malcolm Womaker performance.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
So
I was there. It was crazy.
You were there?
Yeah, that was in MSG.
Oh shoot. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
dude, he was a stud. Everyone was going crazy.
Yeah, because he was like a plus 500 again.
Plus 500, and he was just bringing the fight to Malcolm Wellmaker. He just had such steady, intense pressure. Like he did not respect Malcolm Wellmaker at all. He did not shy away from him, and his head movement was actually decent. And he was just like in the pocket trading. He threw a lot of variety of attacks. Everyone was really impressed. Yeah, and he was landing some big stuff. Like he had Wellmaker backing up multiple times in the fight. So yeah, and Malcolm Wellmaker is a stud as well. So like that was a big deal. It makes sense to me why the UFC is trying to see what this guy can do. Because yeah.
And what's crazy is that
was undefeated. He was undefeated at the time. That was his first career loss.
It's crazy because like Ethan Ewing did not respect Malcolm Wellmaker at all, and the only tape study of Malcolm Wellmaker up to that fight was just him getting round 1 KOs, you know? And so it's like, it's crazy that he didn't respect him at all. And it's like, dude, this guy's like a demon. Like, I don't even know why he just punched the fire, but he's just a stud, you know?
Yeah.
But as far as the actual analysis of this fight, Rafael Estevam he's kind of a grappler. He's got pretty good wrestling, a lot of controlled time in his fights. And it's going to be a test because obviously haven't watched much of Ethan Ewing's like fights back in like whatever his like amateur promotions or whatever, but Estevam is coming to wrestle in this fight. He's gonna shoot a lot, and that's his path to victory. And Ethan Ewing, I don't really know where his takedown defense is.
Yeah.
And not to mention too that this is a fight where Estevam is moving up, so he's going to be smaller than usual. So there's kind of a lot of moving pieces here. It's like Ethan Ewing is going to be bigger than Estevam that Estevam's not used to, but Estevam is a really good grappler that Ethan Ewing is probably not used to. I'm just assuming that he hasn't fought a lot of people with the wrestling of Estevam and grappling. So with that many unknowns, I don't like to pick a certain fighter, and what I have written down is the fight to go the distance because I don't think Ethan Ewing is like a crazy finisher, you know? And Estevam is, I think, a decision merchant as well. And he's probably going to get some control time in this fight. So it's like, do you think Ethan Ewing is going to just keep him the feet and ride at 30-27? Is Estevam going to get a lot of control time and whatever? It's like, at the end of the day, I think more than 5 times out of 10, this fight goes the distance. And that prop is minus 160, which I think is actually pretty good. I think pretty good. So, like, I'm not really going to take a pick in this fight, but I'll say I think the fight to the distance is a good bet.
Yeah. So Rafael Estevam is not really a finisher. He's got a pretty low finish rate, but Ethan Ewing actually has a fairly high finish rate. The problem is, yes, but you have to take that with a grain of salt because that was against people in the regional scene. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
How does that really apply against a UFC caliber fighter? We've seen that all the time where people have really high finish rates when they're fighting in these lower, smaller organizations, and they come to the UFC and all of a sudden they're getting decisions. You know what I mean? It happens a lot because the level of competition is just different. I kind of agree with you that as far as making any bold predictions for this fight, kind of steer clear of it because there's just too many unknowns. Like, we don't know how Rafael Estevam is going to be at bantamweight because he's been at flyweight. We don't know how Ethan Ewing fights in general at the UFC level. Obviously, he had a great performance against Malcolm Wellmaker, but matchups are everything. And Rafael Estevam is a very different matchup than Malcolm Wellmaker. So, yeah, I would say this is one that'll be kind of hard to like make a formal prediction on because there's just not enough data, I feel like, about either guy, for me anyways, to make any like serious call on this one.
Like, to put it to perspective, this was kind of like it was a controversial decision, but Rafael Estevam fought Charles Johnson in his debut, and he got 9.5 minutes of control time in a 15-minute fight against Charles Johnson, who's like, he's a veteran, like he's actually decent. Like, he's decent everywhere, he's well-rounded, you know? So just saying, like, he got an insane amount of control time against a guy who's like got decent takedown defense. So it's like, like, honestly, the more I look at it, with Rafael Estevam being a little bit more like battle tested than Ethan Ewing, like, I think it's kind of crazy that Rafael Estevam's the underdog here. I think people are kind of riding that like, holy crap, Ethan Ewing just short notice, like, you know, he beat Malcolm Wellmaker, but it's like Malcolm Wellmaker also hadn't really gone to many third rounds in his UFC career either. So like, I'm gonna steer clear from having a solid pick, but I'll say if I take the distance, and Rafael Estevam should not be an underdog. But that's kind of like all I'm gonna say about this fight. But the next fight, which is actually I'm also kind of hyped for. I don't know why Tommy McMillen is a minus 1,400. That's insane. And I think the reason why he's so high, I'm pretty sure like Manolo Zecchini has been out. Like, he hasn't fought in like 3 years. And Tom McMillen, as we all know, just kind of came off his Dana White's contender series win, kind of a dogfight, and showed that like he's here to stay. You know, he looks like he's willing to go through fire. You know, like Manolo Zecchini, his last fight was in 2023. He got knocked out by Morgan Charrier.
Which fight? Oh, that was the Paris card. Was that when
it was Gone versus Spivak?
It was versus Spivak. It wasn't Gone versus
Tuivasa. No, I think it was 2022. And he got knocked out.
That long.
He got knocked out in the first round and then hasn't fought since. That was his debut in the UFC too. So this is like basically his second debut, because he debuted 3 years ago and got knocked out, and then he took 3 years off. So it's like this is basically another debut for him. And he has no momentum. His confidence is probably really low. I'm gonna be honest here. Like, if I got knocked out 3 years ago and then just like went on vacation, and like I would be scared shitless going into this fight, you know?
Yeah.
And Tom McMillen having all his hype and whatnot. And it's funny to people compare him to Sugar, because obviously he trains with him and like he is from Red Hawks Academy. But Tom McMillen is not like a striker. You know, he has decent hands, but he has a ton of submissions. Like, majority of his fights are won by submission. So he's kind of like a grappler Sugar in a sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, he should not be that much of a favorite, but I do think McMillen round one submission is like the play here if you were going to bet on it. I don't think he'll get a knockout. Like, I don't know if he has like knockout power. Like, I'd imagine like a lot of his knockout wins are from TKOs, you know?
Yeah.
So like, and I think like it's like his instincts. Like, what are his instincts when he knocks somebody down, right? Like, look at Charles.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, when Charles knocks somebody down, he's not going to like start hammer fisting him. He's jumping on a guillotine. He's jumping on their back. And I think that Tom McMillen has those same instincts, but it's usually guillotines. So yeah, I mean, out of all that, I would say Tom McMillen round one submission is probably my play here. And yeah.
So yeah, I remember that fight that on Dana White's Contender Series. I watched it, and I think more than anything, that kind of showed that Tommy McMillen can go to deep waters, because that was the first time he had ever been past the first round. All of his previous fights were won by first round finish. And so that proved that, yeah, even in like a professional setting, he can go to the deep waters, way late into the third round. Like, I remember that fight was so close all the way into the end of the third round. Like, it was, those fights where it's so back and forth that literally whoever gets the last big moment is the one who wins the fight. That's literally how it was in that fight. I remember that. And so, yeah, I think we know that he's capable of going to the deep water, even though he does look for round, like he is aggressive with finishes. I don't know if he might be an example of, kind of like I was talking about earlier, one of those guys that in lower ranked organizations, he just kind of rolls people, you know what I mean? But once he gets to this level, it's like, okay, he didn't even get to the UFC yet. It was literally Dana White's Contender Series, and he was all of a sudden he was no longer, it was not getting like just finishing the fight in the first 30 seconds. It was, he actually had to go to the deep waters. Kind of funny.
Yeah.
The guy he fought, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name because he's from Russia, David Mgoyan. He's actually fighting on the Netflix card, the Ronda Rousey. Wait,
really?
Who is she fighting? Gina Carano. Yeah. The Netflix card that's happening in May. Which
we don't care. Funny. It's like, it's like Gina Carano. Get that out of here. Yeah. And not to mention too, like, David McGowan is actually pretty good. Like, just looking at his record, like he's 8-1, American top team. Like, I think there's different levels of Dana White's Contender Series fighters. You know what I mean? So like, Tom McMillen fought somebody who's pretty solid as far as, DWCS goes, and, still showed the heart in that fight. So I think he'll win this fight pretty easily. But like, if we're trying to like put a bet out there, like at minus 1,400, that's kind of a fight that I would steer away from. But if you want to like, if you're going to put money on this fight and you want to like actually have, a decent return, like to a degree, like I think round one submission is the play to do. But like, does the fight go over a round? Maybe. I mean, when you're fighting somebody who hasn't fought in 3 years that I've never seen fight before, it's just like, I don't know. But based off styles and Tom McMillen, I'd imagine round one sub. So it's just like, that's kind of where I'm at. But dude, this card there's a couple good ones, but like this is kind of a sleep in kind of Saturday.
Yeah, call me a casual, but there's so many people on this card that I'm like, I've maybe seen you fight once, but yeah I don't know.
Yeah, it's what we were saying before. It's like people are like, yeah, you're casual if you don't watch every UFC card. It's like, okay, like I'm not taking time out of my day to watch Tabitha Ricci and Verna Jandiroba. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I guess I'm a casual if I don't know, have a good prediction for Dakota Hope versus Kai Kamaka III.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, who are these people?
Yeah. Classic. Dude, honestly, a fight that I don't really have any analysis on, but I'm really surprised that Lando Vannata is still fighting.
Yeah, what the heck? I was so surprised when I saw that.
Yeah, I was like, I thought this guy retired like 3 years ago or something.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Whatever. Apparently maybe he was retired, but like maybe won like a more of a send off kind of fight. But it's kind of a tough card to have a send off fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. His last fight was April of 2023, and before that it was April of 2022, and before that was April of 2021. So he literally hasn't fought. He's fought 3 times in the last 5 years. And
also, okay. Like, I know his name because obviously I see the clips. I saw the clip of him when he debuted against Tony Ferguson like 15 years ago, and he had like that head kick drop and like all that stuff, even though he lost the fight. But like, that's how I know him, and that he's been in the UFC for a long time. But after looking at his record, like, I feel like he was kind of bad. Is that just me? Like, why is his name like something that jumps out to a lot of people? Like, look at his record. He's 12-7. And then he has like, it's like win, loss, win, loss. It's like, okay, like, why is he popular? I don't understand.
Yeah, I think it's because he kind of has sort of a flashy style, and that people really like that kind of thing.
I guess. All right. Well, honestly, there's like, the MMA YouTubers out there probably talked about some more prospects on this card, but I don't care. So I'm done with the analysis right now. But unless you have anything else you want to say, but I'm kind of good to call it.
No, man, I think that was good. Yeah, let's end it there.